Hi, this lesson is about cylinders and how to investigate and use problem solving to find the volume of a cylinder. Let's explore and see what we're talking about. A cylinder is a three-dimensional shape, it's solid, that has two identical flat ends. These flat ends are called bases. Okay, so let's look at this. So if here's our cylinder over here on the side, the ends are these circular pieces, they're flat, and that's what we call our base. These are the two bases. And it has a rectangular region in the middle whose length is the circumference of the circular base, and the height is the height of the cylinder. So if we were to take this cylinder and cut one side down and lay it flat, we would see that the edges would be circulars, the ends would be circular, but the middle part, if we laid it flat, would look like a rectangle in between these two circular shapes. And so the length of the rectangle would be the circumference of one circle, and the height of the rectangular shape would be the height that goes from one circular base to the other base. Okay, so going from top to bottom. If we wanted to find the volume, that would be the amount of space that's inside this unit. So if we were trying to fill this unit up, what would it be? And just like all shapes, 3D shapes, when we're trying to find the volume, its measurement is a cubic measure. Go ahead and pause the video and copy this into your flipbook. All right. Well, now that we've done that, let's figure out what the formula is and then go ahead and do some practice problems. So the formula for finding the volume of a cylinder is to figure out what the area of the base is and then find it by multiplying the height. So basically, if we had this particular circular shape, cylinder shape, we would want to figure out what it would take to find the volume by measuring the area of the base, which is this part, filling that part up, and then layers over and over and over again, going all the way up to the very top, which is our height number. Okay, so we're taking a bunch of circles and just basically stacking them over and over and over and over again till we get to the very top. I can think of like crackers or cookies, oatmeal, different things that you might find in a circular shaped type container. And if we layered those over and over again to get to the very top, that would determine the volume. All right. Well, our formula says that we need to do area is equal to pi r squared. Pi r squared. Well, if it's r squared, that means we need to know the radius. And if we look closely here, they gave us a number that goes straight across. And from other lessons, if you remember, the line that goes straight across the circle is called a diameter. All right, so let's go ahead then and look at this information. The pi that we need, the approximate value of pi is 3.14 if we use it. They gave us the diameter, which was 12, but remember our formula says that we need to use radius. And therefore, we need to determine radius. And radius is half of the diameter, so the radius in this case would be 6. Okay? So using this information, let's plug this into our formula, which we see over here. Pi r squared height, or the area of the base times the height. Okay? So let's go ahead and determine this. So we have pi times r squared, which is 6 squared, times the height, which is 15. Okay, using order of operations, we would find that it's pi times 36 times 15. Now, there are two different ways that you might find the answer to a volume question. We might find it where they use just the pi. They didn't actually calculate what pi is going to be. So they could have left pi in our formula. So they would have simply multiplied 36 times 15 and gotten 540 and left pi there. So 540 pi inches squared, and our units are inches and it's squared, or I'm sorry, cubed. Or we could have used pi is equivalent to 3.14 to figure it out and find that calculation. That would be 1,695.6 inches cubed. And if you notice, the pi symbol is missing, and that's because we went ahead and used the calculation for pi, the estimated calculation for pi, to find our value. Go ahead and pause the video and copy this information into your flipbook. All right, well, let's do a few more practice problems. I would like for you to practice on your own as I'm doing them with you. Here we have, this kind of reminds me of a hockey puck. And so we have a smaller cylinder, not very tall, and it shows us that we have 10, and that would be connected to our dotted line right here. So the 10 is only going to be part of it. Let me grab more pen right here. Let me see the pen. I didn't want to collect. There we go. So the 10 is just going to this dotted line going across. And the 5 then is the height number. So using that information, let's see how we can plug it in to see if we can figure out the formula. Okay, so therefore, if the radius is 10, because that's only going halfway across, and pi is 3.14. So we're going to use the information, and remember that the area for, or to find the volume, for volume, it's going to be volume equals base times height, or volume equals pi r squared times your height. So let's see what we went ahead and did here to solve it. There's more than one way to solve it, always. But in this case, it was solved by doing pi r squared height. So the r is 10 in this case, so it would be pi times 10 squared times 5, which would simplify to be pi times 100 times 5. And again, we have two different ways that we can write as our final answer. We can write it with pi, and so with pi, it is 500 pi feet cubed. And if we calculate with pi, or the approximation for pi, 3.14, we would get 1,570 feet cubed. And you notice the pi symbol is gone because we used it in our calculation. Hopefully that's one of the answers you got. All right, let's try another one. Find the volume of this cylinder. As we can see, we have 2, and that would represent our radius. Very good, because it's only going halfway across our circular base. And then from base to base is our height number, and in this case it's 5. So here we have the information we need. Let's identify it. We know that the radius is 2 and that pi is approximately 3.14. All right, let's use this information to plug it into our formula and solve. So we can do that pi times the radius squared times the height. So pi times 4 times 5. And then we have two ways of writing our final answer. One with pi and one without pi. So let's go ahead. One with pi is 20 pi centimeters cubed. And if we calculate with pi, the other number would be 62.8 centimeters cubed. And again, that's just an approximation. So hopefully you got one of those answers. All right, our next example, here we have another cylinder, and they gave us a diameter. They told us that the diameter is 8 and that the height is 14 centimeters. So let's go ahead and see what information we can use to help us solve for the volume of this cylinder. They said that the diameter is 8, but that means we have to find the radius, which is 4, again, because it should be half of the diameter. And that pi is 3.14. Very good. All right, using that, then let's plug it into our formula to solve. So we have pi r squared height. So the radius is 4 and squared. So it would be pi times 16 times 14. So again, we have two different ways that we can write our answer. One with pi, one without pi. Let's go ahead and see what we got. So using pi, we have 224 pi centimeters cubed. Or if we calculate with the approximation of pi, we get 703.36 centimeters cubed. And that would be to fill up this whole cylinder. Very good. All right. Well, today for the Your Turn page, what I'd like you to do is determine which one of the two mugs shown would hold more coffee. And then how would you know that? So I want you to copy this information, show all of your work, do it in your notebook, and be able to explain and defend your answer tomorrow and ask any other questions you might have. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.